Hey Anatomy, this is Dr. V here with a video summary of the human blood cell typing lecture from this morning. So I'm going to go through all the key points from that lecture. I am also going to explain problems 17 through 34 on the ABO and RH blood typing assignment. So if you were kind of struggling with those problems, stick with us till the end. I am going to go through those answers and some explanations. All right. Every human has one of four ABO types. These are the four types of blood: A, B, AB, and O. Right away, as you're looking at these red blood cells, you notice they seem to have some different shapes on the surface, right? Those different shapes are name tags called antigens. The A red blood cells have A name tags or A antigens, just to identify them as A. A B red blood cell has a B name tag or antigen on the surface. An AB person would have both the A name tag and the B name tag on the surface. There's no like hybrid AB, they come separately. And then a type O red blood cell is naked. It has neither A nor B name tag on the surface. Every human also has certain antibodies. Anti kind of means against, right? So we already get the sense we're fighting something. Antibodies are proteins that are created to identify and attack cells that your body perceives as foreign. Like they are not self, meaning they're not natural to you, and they need to be destroyed to keep you safe. The end of the antibody has the spot that binds onto those antigen name tags. Let's go back for 1 second. Remember these name tags here, A and B? These are the antigens. So antibodies are what can bind to those if they fit and flag those red blood cells for destruction. Well, how would we know which cells we'd want to destroy? The type of antibodies you have really depends on what you see as natural, right? What you see as normal. There are, again, two primary name tags that result in those four blood types. Here are the name tags, A antigen and B antigen. And the antibodies really match up with those two. So anti-B antibodies bind to and kill any cell that has a B antigen. Now, if I'm blood type B, I am not going to have any of these anti-B antibodies around. Otherwise, I would kill and destroy my own cells. Remember, these are more just a safeguard, these antibodies, in case a foreign cell does happen to slip in, like through an inappropriate transfusion. An anti-A antibody can bind to and attack any cell with the A antigen. Notice how it's really like a lock and key thing, right? It's got to fit. Circle, circle, rhombus or diamond fits here. All right. Now, let's talk about who has what antibodies. If you're a person with type A red blood cells, you are going to make anti-B antibodies. You make antibodies against whatever antigens you do not have. Again, you make antibodies against whatever name tag you do not have. So if I'm A, I make anti-B. If I'm type B red blood cell, I make anti-A. If I am a type AB cell, well, both A and B antigens are normal to me, so I'm not going to make any antibodies against either. Type O individuals make both anti-A and anti-B. Again, you make antibodies against the antigens you do not have yourself. Why do we care about blood type so much? Which name tag or antigen you have and which antibodies you have in your blood. There may come a day when you need to receive blood from somebody else. In other words, you need a blood transfusion. Now, this is how it happened a long time ago, right? Directly person to person, no screening for viruses, very dangerous. This resulted in a lot of pain and suffering. But today we check blood type before a transfusion. And the reason we check it is, let's say that you're a person with type A blood, you have those anti-B antibodies. If you get blood from a type B person, your antibodies are going to be so happy to bind to and attack those cells you received because they look foreign. You can only receive blood that looks like yours. In other words, you cannot receive blood cells that would react with antibodies that are already circulating in your bloodstream. If this were to occur, you would experience a transfusion reaction. All right, this is an example of what we don't want to happen, right? So here we have a donor who has type A red blood cells, and they are giving blood to someone who has some anti-A antibodies. We can infer, or we can kind of extrapolate from this picture, they have anti-A, well, they must be a type B red blood cell, right? You make antibodies to what you don't have. So if we give the type A red blood cells to a person with type B blood and anti-A antibodies, these fit. Now I know it's confusing. It's like circle and triangle, but the color matches up. These are anti-A. They would bind to those A antigens on the donor red blood cells and blow up those cells. Hemolysis. The red blood cells would explode. When that happens, there are a host of terrible symptoms in many parts of your body, but the end result can be death. You get really, really sick and potentially die if you're given red blood cells that react with your antibodies. All right. This is the reason, again, why we really carefully test both the recipient, the person getting that blood, and the donor red blood cells before a transfusion occurs. This is just an example of a home blood typing kit, but this will happen in the medical setting. If you're curious, you could also test your blood at home, although most any doctor's office will do that for you. All right, so wait a second. Aren't their blood types also positive and negative? It gets a little more complicated, yes. So in addition to A and B name tags, there's yet another name tag called RH. People who have the RH antigen have positive blood. Those who do not have the RH name tag have negative blood. Now, I think we just, say positive and negative because RH instead of saying like ARH or BRH. This is just a quicker way to do it, but don't let that confuse you. Again, if you're positive, you have RH. If you're negative, you do not. Now, anti-RH antibodies are similar to the other antibodies like anti-A and anti-B because they are only formed by people who do not have that antigen on their red blood cells, meaning you have to be RH negative, meaning you don't have RH, in order to make the anti-RH antibodies. If you are RH positive, RH looks totally normal to you and you're not going to make any antibodies against it. RH antibodies are different than anti-A or anti-B antibodies because they are not present automatically at birth. A person has to actually be exposed to red blood cells with the RH antigen on them before they start producing anti-RH antibodies, meaning they have to become sensitized to those anti-RH antibodies. This happens one of two ways. If you're a biological male, this is just going to happen through a blood transfusion. So if you receive some red blood cells that have RH on them and you're not used to that, your immune system is going to be like, whoa, I need to start making some antibodies against that because that is not normal. If you're a female, this could also happen through pregnancy. So maybe you're RH negative and you become pregnant with an RH positive infant. Okay, let's start taking a look at the pregnancy model to kind of talk through what questions 17 through 20, and we'll keep on rolling, have to say. So let's think about what we just learned first. You have to have been exposed to the RH antigen if you're RH negative in order to start making antibodies. So 17 asked us, a newborn baby is determined to have A positive blood. Do they have anti-RH antibodies? No. This baby has the RH antigen. They're RH positive. they are not going to make any anti-Rh antibodies because Rh looks normal to them. They have no reason to make that. If they did make those antibodies, they would kill and destroy their own cells. 18. A newborn baby has type A negative blood. Do they have anti-Rh antibodies? No. While the baby would see that Rh antigen as foreign, right? They don't have Rh, they're negative. They were just born. So there's like no way that they have already been exposed to the Rh antigen and made those antibodies against it. Rh negative babies have Rh negative parents. So basically, they have not seen the Rh antigen, so they have not made antibodies. 19. A 24-year-old A positive patient delivers an A positive baby. Does mom have anti-Rh antibodies? No. The mom is positive, meaning she has the Rh antigen, and so does the baby. Mom is not going to see Rh as abnormal because she has it herself. So she is really not going to produce those antibodies. They would kill her cells. They would also kill the babies. 20. A 24-year-old A negative patient delivers an A positive baby. Does mom have anti-Rh antibodies? Mom is Rh negative. She does not have antibodies until she is exposed to or sensitized to the Rh antigen, either through a transfusion or delivering a baby. This baby is A positive, so this baby actually exposed her to the Rh antigen, causing her to begin forming antibodies. That's kind of what happened for that woman during her first pregnancy. Now let's take a look at this model. This is an example of what happens when a woman has a first pregnancy. We see what happens between, and then she becomes pregnant again. During the first pregnancy, we see that mom is Rh negative. That's what these negatives mean. Baby is Rh positive. All right. So mom does not have any antibodies at first. If it's her first pregnancy, we can assume she hasn't been transfused. She's never seen Rh antigen. Baby's red blood cells cross the placenta, exposing mom to the Rh antigen. Mom's immune system says, wait, I have never seen that Rh antigen before. That must be bad news. I'm going to start making antibodies against the Rh antigen. First baby was fine. First baby was delivered. During the second pregnancy, this baby is also Rh positive. So dad must be Rh positive. Mom's antibodies cross the placenta, attack the fetal red blood cells, and this results in miscarriage. This happens in the second pregnancy or the second exposure because it takes time to make those antibodies. Now, why doesn't this happen like all the time? Why aren't we constantly losing babies to what's called Rh incompatibility? Moms, all Rh negative moms, so moms who don't have that Rh antigen, are given a shot called RhoGAM. RhoGAM is given at 28 weeks and then again at birth if the baby was Rh positive. RhoGAM prevents mom from forming anti-Rh antibodies. This protects future babies, so future pregnancies, from that condition we were seeing in the graphic, right? This is like an extreme case. It's called erythroblastosis fetalis, so red blood cells exploding, baby dies. This is what we're preventing through RhoGAM. All right. 21. Just so I don't have to record this entire video again, I'm going to quickly animate these. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. All right. 21. Suppose the mother has blood type A negative. According to the model and the memorization fact, which was on your worksheet, What antigen does negative refer to? This is an easy one for us. Mother does not have the Rh antigen on the surface of red blood cells. She is Rh negative, right? When we say A negative, that's what we mean. Compare the first pregnancy with the second. Does it appear that the baby was affected by the mother's immune system? What triggers the mother's sensitivity to the Rh antigen? During the first pregnancy, baby was not affected. This is because mom possessed no anti-Rh antibodies at that time. The mom's sensitivity to the Rh antigen was triggered by the fact that she saw the Rh antigen for the first time during the first pregnancy. Based on the model, if Dr. Brown has never been exposed to the Rh antigen, what will happen if she's transfused with A positive blood? Well, if she is, again, A negative, she's never seen the Rh antigen, nothing will happen. During that first transfusion, she doesn't have antibodies yet. She's never seen that antigen. What will happen though is she will become sensitized, meaning she's going to start making the antibodies. Then during the second transfusion, she will have a transfusion reaction. The anti-Rh antibodies she made following the first exposure will attack the Rh antigens on those donor red blood cells. This leads to the clumping that we saw in class, transfusion reaction, and potentially even death. Okay. I'm going to talk through some of this, thinking about who can receive blood from who to kind of help you think through this. So let's do 26 here. A person with A positive blood has an A name tag and they have an Rh name tag, right? Rh name tag is where the positive comes from. In terms of antibodies, they make anti-B antibodies. They don't make anti-A because they are A, so that would be bad. We don't know. Well, actually, they don't make anti-Rh either because they're Rh positive. They can receive blood from who? Like, basically, who could give them blood where those anti-B antibodies aren't going to freak out and clump up with the donor red blood cells? That's really what we're asking here. Well, A positive would be fine. A negative would be fine. O positive, O negative. How did we even get this list? What you should do when you're approaching these problems and say, what kind of antibodies are present? I can list everything that would not react with those antibodies. Plus, here's the second part of your decision making. Very important. If somebody is Rh negative, we never, ever give them Rh positive blood because we would be sensitizing them to create antibodies. And then in the future, they would have those antibodies ready to attack Rh positive cells. Those cells may be like a transfusion reaction situation, but it could also be their baby. So we always protect our negative people by not exposing them to any blood cells that have that positive Rh antigen. Let's do B negative. B negative blood obviously would contain anti-A antibodies. It would have B antigens, and it would not have Rh antigens, right? We're negative. This person, we could give them B negative. We could also give them O negative. Anything that is not going to upset anti-A antibodies. We don't give them B positive because we don't want to sensitize this person who's negative to that Rh antigen. Let's do one more. B positive. B positive person makes anti-A antibodies. They've got the B antigen. They've got the Rh antigen. They can receive blood from B positive. Rh antigen is fine here. They're already positive. B negative, O positive, O negative, right? Anything that won't upset those anti-A antibodies. Okay. These are the solutions to the rest of the problems. Now, key point from this exercise is there is a group of people who can give their blood to anybody, and it won't upset their immune system. Those people are called universal donors, and they are O negative. O negative red blood cells are totally naked. Like, they don't have an A name tag, a B name tag, an RH name tag. So that recipient's antibodies, no matter what kind of antibodies they have, there's not going to be a reaction. There are also people who are like so not picky about what red blood cells they get, and those people are called universal recipients. Those people are AB positive. We can give them a red blood cell with the A antigen on it, the B antigen on it, the RH, because they don't have anti-A antibodies, anti-B antibodies, or anti-RH antibodies, because all of those things look normal to them. All right. If you still have any questions at all, you please reach out to me via Reminder, Google Classroom. I know this material is tricky, and I also know through your best effort and mine, we are going to get it. So reach out with questions. I want to see your completed ABO and RH blood typing sheets done by Sunday at 5. And then we're going to do some more different practice during class next week. Have a great weekend. Hope you have a great evening as well.